All right, everybody. It's the Combatcast with the man called Dave and Chevy. We're going to talk about UFC 304 today, review that card, and we're going to talk about this fight night this weekend, which is actually a pretty good fight night card. So excited about that. But before we do that, let's talk about our sponsor.
All right, we would like to thank our sponsor, Game Up. They make a thirst-quenching adult beverage with a special blend of electrolytes, 4 great flavors: fruit punch, orange, lemon, lime, and grape.
That's right, guys. And as Dave tries to share this in multitask, it's only 110 calories per can, low carb. Get yourself some Game Up and tell people what we got coming up.
All right, August 10th, UFC Fight Night, Tibera versus Spivak. So after a couple stacked cards, we're getting a slower one. But then August 17th, UFC 305, Duplessis versus Adesanya. We know that one's going to be great. And then going on from there, UFC's taking a little bit of a break. So we'll come up with something.
We will come up with something, maybe a top 5 of some kind, or we'll definitely
PFL playoffs or something coming around soon, I'm sure too. So we can check those out. But
we'll have something for you guys. Me and Chevy, we're both kind of running around here today, so I don't think we even talked about the order of the show. But why don't we just get into the UFC 304 review? It was a fun card. I enjoyed it. I know Dana was a little pissed, but I thought the main card was good. It just, the overall card, I think, there was a lot of decisions, and then
7 straight decisions. Yeah,
the main event. But I don't know. I had really a lot of fun with the Patty fight and the Tom Aspinall fight, which we'll get into. And honestly, I enjoyed the main event too. Like, for a fight that I think everybody thought was going to be boring and maybe people were bored with it. Like, I just really love, we'll get into it, but the high level combat there. But why don't we start off? Is there any fight you want to profile before we get into this main card?
Nope. We can get right into this main card.
That's how it was. All right.
I mean, yeah, you know what? We can talk about it now because this was going to be on the main card and it ended up getting moved off, which was probably a good call. But we should talk about Muhammad Mokaev versus Manel Kape.
Yep.
Obviously, these guys did not like each other. They had all these, altercations. I think 3 separate physical altercations before this fight happened. They had to have 50 security guys in the cage because they were going at each other before they started the fight. All that, and then I think they threw about a total of 15 punches in the first round. So, yeah.
Mokaev's out of here too.
Yeah, Mokaev he didn't get cut, but his contract was not renewed. I think he's ranked 6th, and he's undefeated. And, he's not getting his contract renewed. So
Dana White flat out said, I think the PFL is going to get an undefeated prospect. Good for them. I hope it works out for everybody.
They don't have his weight class, but yeah. He'll land somewhere or put on some weight.
Very well. I think the way he described it, again, it's Dana, but I mean, he said, because somebody asked him, one of the matchmakers, I guess, said, you might want to get a finish if you want to get re-signed. And Dana said, look, I'm sure one of the matchmakers did say that, but there's a lot of other stuff, and the matchmakers are not really crazy about this guy. And I'm sure if you counter in difficult to deal with some of this stuff, and it wasn't just him, but when you take all that with not an exciting style, they're not going to keep you. They don't need
the thing I really didn't like is, so he already had this issue with Manel Kape, right? But then he saw him at one point and invited him over to take a picture for his Muslim brothers or whatever. And, it was like a peace offering kind of thing. He took the picture with the guy and then sucker punched him afterwards.
Right.
And I mean, if you do that, you're literally just a trash human being. So that's the disrespect. I am definitely not a Kape fan, but,
you know that.
But yeah, Mokaev, trash person in my book. So fuck them both. So good riddance to him. Kape broke his toe in the first or second round and, fought through it. So respect to him. It was a close fight, but not a super exciting fight. So got moved off the main card. didn't get replaced with an overly exciting fight either, but we'll get to that. Let's start off with this main card. Arnold Allen versus Giga Chikadze.
Arnold Allen, I have to go back now that I'm drawing, but like the first round, I felt like he might have had some issues with Giga, but after that, it felt like he really figured out his style. He was going to be better on the ground, but I thought he just looked like the better technical striker as the fight moved on. And even though Giga is one of those guys who always has a chance to be in it, he's throwing some wild head kicks, he's doing some stuff. Arnold Allen just looked like he was in control to me. And I think I'm glad it wasn't a 5-round fight, but if it was a 5-round fight, I think Arnold Allen might have eventually got the finish here too.
Yeah, Arnold back in the win column, which I'm happy to see, but he just marched him down. He never let Giga set his feet to really throw any of those wild kicks and stuff. And when he did get him off, even if he landed on Arnold just walked through him. So, Giga's super tough, but Arnold showed that he is just better everywhere. I thought he was going to have trouble on the feet, but he just marched him down, cut off the cage. So respect to Arnold Allen.
I want to throw this fight out there potentially for you too, because I haven't heard anybody mention Yair any time recently, but they're high up there, like a featherweight fight. I'd love to see Arnold Allen and Yair Rodriguez.
Oh yeah, that one I think would be a tough fight for Arnold stylistically because he's similar to Giga, but more well-rounded. Yeah. Definitely better jiu-jitsu and also more powerful for sure. So
right, I don't know if that spear card, like if all the fights are set in stone, but that'd be a fun one. Mexican Independence Day. I just saying,
Yeah, that would be a great fight for sure. Arnold didn't really take any damage, so take a month off.
Yeah,
not take a whole month off, but take a little bit of time off, get right back into camp. That would be a great fight. All right, let's go over quickly the fight that replaced the Muhammad Mokaev versus Manel Kape. It was Gregory Rodriguez versus Christian Leroy Duncan.
Yeah. I think they just kind of disappointed. I think given the styles of both men, we thought we'd get more of a firefight. Like if I put it in perspective, I wasn't expecting much out of these guys. Maybe it would have been a little bit better. But that being said, on a night when we were getting a lot of decisions at this point too, I think we were starting to feel the tired. Gregory Rodriguez, I'm just going to say he just looked like a better fighter here, experience, and then, almost see what I said about Arnold Allen. I mean, even though it wasn't as exciting, I thought Gregory Rodriguez just looked like the better technical striker, and I think the more this fight went on, Rodriguez might have probably finished him as well.
He also took him to the ground and is like a 5-time jiu-jitsu world champion, even though he never shows it because he usually just goes around knocking people out. But he is world-class if he can mix in his ground game as well. Sure. So, but yeah, I'm with you. This fight put me to sleep, basically. This might have been around the time where ESPN Plus.
Oh, yeah.
Having lots of issues. It was not a good night for them, like you were saying. They were bringing up Ben Roethlisberger, third down, miscues. That sound cut out, and there was just a tone, and somebody talking over it.
We were on a loop of the outside of the building at one point.
Yeah, it was terrible. I really hope so. We know that TKO owns both WWE and UFC. WWE going to Netflix, right?
Yeah.
I would be down with UFC maybe making their way onto Netflix. So hopefully, I think the ESPN deal is up this year.
It is.
So probably working on signing something, but fucking please be done with ESPN Plus. You're killing me with this poor quality after paying all this money.
By the way, I did have a fight picked out for Rodriguez too, but it's kind of irrelevant now. I thought it'd be a great fight with Chris Curtis, just to see Curtis, but Chris Curtis was announced today he's taking on Kevin Holland. So.
Which that is a great matchup. Yeah. I'd rather see that one, but yeah.
Me too.
All right, let's move on to what was an exciting fight.
Yes.
King, formerly known as Bobby Green, versus Paddy Pimblett.
Yeah, so it's hard to say with fights like this to judge the improvement of Paddy. But I will tell you what I saw just in what was this, a minute in when he got the submission? Say a minute and a
A
half.
little bit more than that, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, it was pretty early in the first round.
It was early. So I would say the one thing I liked about Paddy into this fight earlier was I didn't see him rushing in as much, right?
Exactly.
He was doing the leg kicks, and they were almost trading leg kicks. And it was almost a battle of patience and who was going to wait for the first to make a mistake. Could have led to a boring fight possibly, which is uncharacteristic with these two. And here's why, because eventually one of them was going to get antsy. And in this case, it was King who decided to go for a takedown. That was not his strong suit going into this. That was going to be one area where we knew Paddy would have definitely an advantage on him. And boy, did Paddy have an advantage on him. And King might have just set the pick for himself to get submitted. But yeah, triangle choke. I think he hurt his arm too, right? It was an arm triangle choke. So
yeah, because he was already unconscious, I think, and Paddy started cranking the arm bar.
Yeah, I don't know if Paddy knew it was unconscious, because Paddy was sympathetic. He did apologize. He really put over Green afterwards too as a legend, said, it was just a little back and forth, and a little back and forth is good for him. He did even mention, he said, I didn't have that with the Jared Gordon fight. We were disrespectful. And he said, I felt that was my worst performance. He says, I'm not saying it's everything, but he said it does help me. And hence why he called out Hanato there.
Moicano, yep.
Yeah, Moicano.
Who has been calling Paddy out for a while.
Yeah, which, by the way, that's the fight I'm going to tell you to do next, because that is a great fight. To talk ahead of time would be awesome. And Moicano, I would probably favor in that one, only because the areas that Paddy's good in so far, Moicano is a little bit better. He's a little bit better at striking. He's a little bit better on the ground. However, I will say this to Paddy's credit, after this performance, I'm seeing a guy who's consistently improving here. And what a time to shine. And yeah, he had the UFC backing him, maybe giving him good matchups. But, I think it really all benefited all the parties involved. And it does show that sometimes you take that boxing approach. You do slow the roll. You give the guy good fights. It can be very beneficial. He ends up getting, I think, an extra $200,000 because the bonuses were 100, and they gave him like a double bonus because they didn't fight at night. Which I don't ever remember anybody just getting a double performance bonus. But hey,
I think it was finish for the finish, performance bonus, and then fight of the night.
Well, he didn't give one to King. It was no fight of the night. I looked at that.
Oh, really? Just
no fight of the night's awarded. So I was interested. That's why I said I never saw that. But I think Dana said afterwards, he was one of the ones that showed up like he really wanted this. And I get that. And he did reward the other people, Tom Aspinall and one of the guys earlier on the card who got to finish as well. So no hate on that. Great performance by Paddy. And I look forward to seeing what he does next.
Yeah, I like you was surprised that they didn't just run in and go guns blazing, but Paddy did look much improved. King did call Paddy out, like you said, maybe lit that little bit of a fire underneath him. He looked great, and I know it really looked like Bobby shot for a takedown, but I thought that it looked like Paddy kind of kicked his leg out from underneath him. He landed a few good, solid leg kicks. He might have been hurt. He kind of kicked the leg out, and Bobby was going down already and kind of lunged in for a takedown. Mm-hmm. But yeah, obviously shouldn't have been the game plan. At least not a great idea. It got wrapped up pretty quickly in that triangle and an armbar to boot. So I don't know who the ref was, but Bobby was definitely out before. They should have stopped that, but
ref we hadn't really seen before. It might have been local or but yeah, I don't remember the ref's name, but yeah, you're right. It was not any of the guys like a Mark Goddard or a Mark Smith that we would know.
Yeah, but as far as the Hanato Moicano, like Bobby was calling out Paddy beforehand, so Hanato's been calling out Paddy. I agree with you. I think maybe he's a little bit better everywhere, but they have a very similar style. They're both pretty wild, to really get into a fight. But size wise, I just think that, Paddy looked way bigger than King did too. And Moicano's not a big guy. So I think the size might cancel out the small skill advantage. And also, if Paddy comes ready to go like he did against Green, I think I favor Paddy at this point. So
yeah, it'd be an interesting fight, and
it's going to be a fun fight either way, though, for sure.
And it's one that if Patty lost, he wouldn't lose much stock. So I think it's good for both guys. So.
Right.
I felt like that way about this fight, but now it's just another, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
great matchmaking here by UFC. I guess we'll get to the next one.
Yeah. So let's move on. Tom Aspinall versus Curtis Blades.
Yeah. Again, another quick fight, even quicker this time. I will say it was funny because Tom is a very honest guy in his post-fight speeches, and he gives Curtis a lot of credit. But he actually said Curtis was a little slower than he expected, which I was surprised. I thought Curtis was quicker, but the way he described it was he underestimated Curtis's reach, and there were punches he thought weren't going to connect, and they were connecting. Because I was surprised in the beginning. I thought, oh, just that first couple seconds, I'm like, Curtis is landing some. And then I was like, this could be interesting. And then, of course, Tom clips him. And one of the things someone made this comment too, when Tom does so well, besides being a complete fighter on the ground, striking, great chin, what he does really well, he has got finishing instincts all day long. And when he's got you in trouble, he is going after you. And Blades, I would say if I have to knock one thing about him, is that when he gets caught, he has very bad visuals as a fan. I would say, I think you look at him, I can understand why he protested. I can understand why he looked in great shape, but he flattened out for a minute. And again, I don't want to judge a fighter, but visually, he doesn't appear to have the urgency. He looks a little, dazed, and it's just not a good look. And unfortunately, the few times we've seen him lose, it's usually he got caught and he's in a bad situation like that. So bummer for Curtis, great for Tom. Tom continues. I can't comment much about this guy because this is just as good. This is like his last performance. See his last performance. Took one on the chin, fought through it, knocked the guy out. He's so impressive. Next fight, this guy has to either fight Jones, Stipe, or Alex Pereira. All right. It has to be one of those three. And if he's fighting Alex Pereira, it has to be that the winner of that's going to fight Jones, or it's to crown the undisputed heavyweight championship. Or he'll probably be awarded the title, but you know what I mean? So that's got to be one of his next fights. It really can't be anybody else, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Yeah, and I agree with your assessment for Curtis visual-wise. Hopefully he can watch that fight back and see why they stopped it, because like you said, he was going up and then all of a sudden his arms went out and that's when they stopped it. And then, he pulled them back in. He was good. But, it was probably a matter of time if he was going to get finished anyway. But championship fight, you'd like to see him get the full opportunity. But, yeah, you're right. He wasn't giving off the right visuals to the ref. So unfortunate for him, again, to fall short in the fight before the title fight. But it is what it is, because I think eventually Tom was going to get him anyway. He's the best in the world, best heavyweight in the world. I don't care if he fights John Jones, Stipe, Pereira. I'm picking Tom Aspinall against anyone right now. So I feel bad for Curtis, but I'm happy for Tom.
Yeah, and I'm just going to look this up while we're talking, because I'm going to take a second, because I think this is an interesting stat that I just came up with, but I have to go back to the third fight here. Yep, I thought so. So Tom Aspinall, out of Stipe and John Jones, has the most octagon time currently right now, and he's only had about probably under 4 minutes of fight time in the last year. Between all his three fights have only went over a minute, a little bit over a minute. This guy has not had a full round, but Jones hasn't fought in forever, other than that quick tap out of Gone, and Stipe hasn't fought in a few years. So very interesting when you look at that too.
Yeah. That's heavyweights though,
Yeah, it is. So
all right, let's get in this main event. Leon Edwards versus Bilal Muhammad.
Bilal did enough to win. I'll say this too. Bilal surprised me with his striking ability.
Same.
Yeah, I thought he did really well with Leon, but he was very good at mixing up his takedowns. Even his takedowns, Bilal's good at usually, holding people up against the cage too, which he did that as well. But he also was great. He spiked him on his head. Mm-hmm. And man, I don't want to take anything away from Bilal, but I don't think Leon was off. I don't think he was totally an excuse when he was saying he felt tired in there and he felt tired all week. He just didn't seem like it was one of his better performances. Maybe he was just tired of being wrestled death by Usman, Kobe, and maybe he thought that after surviving all that, this would not be an issue with Bilal because Bilal wasn't the wrestler, say, that Usman or Kobe is. But I think Bilal brought something different where he was really able to mix that all up, and Edwards was just not able to compete with it. I think Usman, I saw on a podcast with Cejudo, said there's very few grapplers in that division that would be able to hang with Bilal in that moment. And I think he's kind of referring to himself and probably Kobe too. And they're probably right. So Bilal stylistically is a tough matchup for a lot of people. But what a great performance. I actually really enjoyed this fight. And I will say, as far as the next fight, I'd like to see Shavkat get it because he was ranked, I think, number 3 going into this. And he has not fought for the title yet. He brings something different. He's super impressive with his striking. He's got great finishing ability. And I haven't seen anyone really take him down or anything yet. So I love it. Like, let's make it. It's a fresh matchup. I hope they do this.
Yeah. Bilal earned his title shot the hard way. He's a great guy, although maybe not the most exciting fighter, but he's ultra talented, obviously. Yes, the striking definitely took Leon by surprise, I think. He did showcase some of that striking in that Sean Brady fight that we talked about last week.
Right.
And that was I was saying that was the version of Bilal we needed to see for him to win the title, and that's what we saw. He came out, really put hands on Leon, 1-2s, landing some good hooks on him. Mixed in the wrestling well, like you said, couple good slams, and Leon who's normally very good at getting up and reversing positions for a kickboxer, really couldn't do that to Bilal too many times. So he did get Bilal's back in round 3, and that was probably the only round he ended up winning. But it was never in danger of getting a finish or anything. They basically just laid there hand fighting for 2.5 minutes. But shout out to Bilal. Obviously I'm not the biggest Leon fan. I was rooting for Bilal anyway, but I am glad that he won because he's such a nice guy. And like I said, had to take the long road to get the title shot. If he had lost this, chances of him getting another title shot, almost 0. So he took his opportunity and did well. As far as the future, I'm with you. Got to see Shavkat, got to see JDM, Jack Della Maddalena quickly. Those are the up and comers. They're the exciting fighters.
Yeah.
And Bilal said he's ready to give them a shot. So let's get it going.
Somebody said this is the first time we've had a welterweight title fight that didn't involve Usman or Covington since 2019.
Yep. They really have been dominating the top.
Yeah. So let's start anew. I'm with you. All right. That's our bow on UFC 304. But we got a pretty good banger of a fight night here with Sandhagen and Nurmagomedov. So how about it?
All right, let's go through this relatively quickly. This is a pretty good card, like you were saying, 3 p.m. Eastern card from the Middle East, of course. It's on ABC. We're not going to go through and do full.
We'll do breakdowns on the co-main and main event like normal, but we can start with the Mackenzie Dern fight if you want to.
All right, yeah, Mackenzie Dern versus Loopy Godinez. What are you thinking about this one?
I'm going to go Mackenzie. I just like the submission game here. I could be way off on this, but I think she'll pull off a submission round 2.
Yeah, I'm with you. Mackenzie, very tough. Definitely will engage in the boxing with Loopy, which is very dangerous. But I think her toughness will get her through eventually. She gets her down and gets a sub. I'll say round 2 as well. Okay. Interesting fight. Tony Ferguson, welterweight versus Michael Chiesa.
Tony's not what he used to be. I love Tony. He's a legend, but he has not shown, think he got submitted by King Green, right? And we just saw what happened with King and Bobby on the feet. Tony was a dangerous man on the ground. I think Chiesa's going to take him down. I think he's going to beat him up. And I think he'll either ground and pound him or he'll actually choke him out. I'll go with the ground and pound, though, with respect to Tony. Hey, you can never count out a legend like Tony. He's somebody that could pull off a submission, especially I do see this fight going to the ground. But I got Chiesa. I'm going to go round 2 as well. TKO. Submission choke. Yeah.
Tony, not truly a welterweight for sure. Chiesa has fought at 155, but he's a big welterweight even. So, Chiesa has been able to be choked out by some jiu-jitsu guys. I could see Tony maybe getting a Darce, but I think he's just, in his prime, I would have gave him much more of a chance. I agree with you. But I think at this point in their careers, Chiesa's weight, size, grappling, I think he's going to get a decision, I think. But he beats Tony up for 3 rounds.
All right, this fight.
Marlon Vera versus Deiveson Figueiredo.
This is arguably should be the co-main event, honestly.
Yeah.
This is a good one. I went back and forth on this a little bit. I could see Deiveson winning this right now because of his power he's had. It's translated from from flyweight to bantamweight. But I don't think so. I'm going to go Marlon here because I think Marlon is durable enough and he'll take his time and he'll figure out Deiveson. And I feel like Marlon's a little more – I had to see him too, but I expect Marlon to be a little bigger. And I think Marlon will I think he'll get the decision. I think he'll lose the first round. I think he'll figure out Figueiredo, and I think he'll win round 2 and 3. I would actually heavily favor more, not like heavily because no disrespect, but I would feel a little more confident this was a 5-round fight with Marlon because Marlon is notoriously a little bit of a slow starter. That slow start could backfire him. Regardless, I see this going to decision, but I'm going with Vera.
Yeah, I'm going to pick Deiveson. I'm a big Cheeto fan, not a big Figueiredo fan. But for that reason you said, Marlon always takes the first 2 rounds off or first round and a half. It's a 3-round fight. Can't take off half the fight. I don't think he's going to KO Figueiredo. So, I mean, maybe he could, but he hasn't looked like that lately. So I'm going to pick Figueiredo, and I'll say decision. Marlon's too tough. So,
all right.
This co-main event, Shara, the Pirate, Magomedov versus Michal Oleksiejczuk.
All right. Oleksiejczuk is 19-8-1, 14 KOs, 1 sub, 4 decisions. He's on a 2-fight losing streak to Kevin Holland and Michel Pereira, but he's had performance tonight 3 times against Gian Violante, Cody Brundridge. This guy has fought a lot of quality competition. All right. And Magomedov is 13-0, 11 KOs, 2 decisions, 2-0 in the UFC. But although I think he's been good in his performances, I don't know if he's been as impressive as I would have liked to seen, given a lot of the hype with him. Michael has a lot more experience with top fighters, and I don't know. I just got a feeling this is not going to be a good day for the Pirate. I think he's going to lose by decision here. I could be wrong, but I think this is going to be a learning experience for him. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm with you, actually. Magomedov, 0 ground game. Oleksiejczuk he can strike. He's powerful, but he can also grapple, and I think he really wants to get back in the win column. I think he goes right at him, fakes a jab, and shoots a takedown, and he just does that over and over again. So I think he's going to grind out a decision, if not a ground and pound TKO. But I'll say decision for Oleksiejczuk.
Okay.
All right. Cory Sandhagen versus Umar Nurmagomedov. What a banger of a main event.
All right. So I'm a little biased here, much like Chevy probably is, but we'll give you our fair. But I'll say that in a close fight like this, I might lean with my heart a little bit. But Umar Nurmagomedov is 17-0, so he ain't lost yet. 2 KOs, 7 subs, 8 decision. He is soaring in the bantamweight ranks right now. Cory Sandhagen, 17-4, 7 KOs, 3 subs, 7 decisions. He's on a 3-fight winning streak. The fights that Cory Sandhagen have lost have been to the best of the best, and they've been close. And every time, to me, he looks like a better fighter when we see him out the next time. Cory had an injury not too long ago. I believe it was against Vera, right? I think he got injured.
I think so.
Yeah, with his shoulder, and he took some time off. I think that's going to be good for him. I think that he's took this time to rest his body. I think he's going to be great here. I mean, I don't know who the favorite is or what, but again, almost like the co-main event, I'm going with strength of schedule here.
Umar is the favorite.
Cory is the favorite?
No, yeah, Umar.
I'm going to go with Cory. I think Cory will get this done. Because Umar Nurmagomedov has not been even tasted an L yet, I'll say this goes to full 5 rounds, though, and Cory has to win a decision. But we'll see. This is what, when you're an undefeated guy like this is your moment to shine, right? This could be Umar Nurmagomedov's big moment, and he gets it done. But I got to see it first. Right now, I'm going with Cory Sandhagen by decision.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. I know smart odds seem to be on Umar in the Middle East also. I just think this is Cory's time. Like you've been saying, he has looked better and better. And something he does that nobody else really does at his level is he shows so many different looks, so many feints. He can strike from anywhere at any time, always switching stances, very creative. He mixes in the wrestling, has enough wrestling, hopefully, to counter wrestle Umar. Hopefully, he doesn't go in there shooting takedowns on Umar. I think he's primed right now to win this fight and start taking over this division. So I'm with you. I think Umar is so tough, it ends up being a decision. But I think Cory wins a pretty decisive decision over Umar and announces himself to the bantamweight division.
And I don't think it's out of line to say the winner. This is probably going to meet the winner of Merab and O'Malley.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that should be that. I mean, Cory's definitely due a title shot just for offering to take these kinds of fights against these people that nobody wants to fight. So,
All right, let's tell people what we got coming up one more time.
All right, August 10th, UFC Fight Night, Tybura versus Spivak. And then August 17th, UFC 305, Duplessis versus Adesanya, middleweight belt. And then the UFC is taking some time off, so August 24th, we're going to come up with something for you guys.
All right, guys, enjoy this week's Fight Night and enjoy some Game Up.
If you haven't tried Game Up, then you are missing out. Imagine your favorite seltzer and your favorite sports drink had a baby, but it's way better than that. Each can is 110 calories, low carb, 4.9 ABV. It's a nice light drink that is not light on flavor. Game Up comes in fruit punch, orange, lemon, lime, and grape. Pick it up at drinkgameup.com or at your nearest liquor store.